guys, here with Pam Iorio, the 57th Mayor of Tampa, the second female Mayor of Tampa, and this is the second entry into the Riverwalk Series. So, why don't you tell us, where did you start off with the Riverwalk?
So thanks for your interest in the Riverwalk. When I was elected in March and took office April 1st, 2003, we had real priorities set out. One was to make downtown a residential community. That we had 5 strategic priorities. That was one of them. And we really saw that key to making downtown a neighborhood was the Riverwalk, because Tampa has all these tremendous assets, but they're not connected in a way that pedestrians can reach them. So we decided in our very early months of my administration to make the completion of the Riverwalk a top priority. And we number of things. So the first thing, at that point, the Riverwalk there were little parts of it here and there, but they were very little parts. And the main parts that we focus on right now, they just didn't exist. You had this little part behind the Marriott. You just had little areas here and there. And we said, okay, the first thing that's needed is a master plan. I mean, is there a master plan of the Riverwalk? And there wasn't a master plan. So we contracted with a company, EDOL, and we asked them to produce a master plan for the Riverwalk, which they did. A lot of community input. And so then that became the blueprint for how the Riverwalk would go from the Channelside district all the way to the Performing Arts Center. And maybe beyond. That I'm not so sure about. Probably be a little bit beyond too. And so we took that as here we had now a master plan of how the Riverwalk was going to unfold. The second thing we did is we formed a nonprofit group called Friends of the Riverwalk, which was chaired by Dan Maharan of SunTrust Bank, because we recognized how important it would be to have the private sector as partners, and that you wanted the ability for citizens to make a donation to help build the Riverwalk. So formed Friends of the Riverwalk. So then we just went about methodically building the different segments. So these are the segments that we built. I think one of the most transformative segments was around the Tampa Bay History Center. The Cotonchobee Park stopped, and there was a wall there. And beyond Cotonchobee and this wall was just a big mound of dirt. So when you look at the Tampa Bay History Center, that was a mound of dirt. So we made arrangements to have the Tampa Bay History Center built, and we tore down the wall that had Indian artifact or Indian heritage information, and we extended it to where it is today. And we built the Riverwalk from where it had stopped, wrapped it around the Tampa Bay History Center, and took it into Channelside, and built that South Channelside venue with the big mural there that Bruce Marsh did. So we incorporated public art into it. And because we knew that Channelside was a neighborhood unto itself, but they didn't really have green space. So what was going to be the green space for people who lived in Channelside? It was going to be the Riverwalk, right? That was going to be how people in Channelside took a walk in the evening. And so that whole plaza, that South Channelside Plaza there was intended to be the starting point of the Riverwalk for people who lived in Channelside. So we built that whole segment. We built the McDill Park in that segment. We built the USF Park in that segment. The connection between the convention center and the Marriott was blocked off, and believe it or not, that area underneath the little bridge there was used for storage. It was filled with equipment, and it was blocked off. So we took that and we removed all the storage, all the equipment that was there, and we made it so you could walk from the Marriott Hotel to the convention center. Then we looked at the convention center, and ideally you'd want the Riverwalk to be built off of the water, and so that there's no impediment to walking. But you really couldn't do that at the convention center because of the docks that were there, just a number of different issues. So we made the decision as part of the master plan to instead identify a walkway along the convention center so that people could see that if they just continued on this path, they could keep going. And then we built the Platt Street Bridge section. So you could go from the convention center underneath the Platt Street Bridge, and we extended it there. So then the other thing we did is at the convention center, the place that currently sells drinks and such, what is it called?
Pop-up,
The Pavilion.
pavilion.
That was a fountain that was defunct. It was a water fountain that hadn't worked for a number of years. And so the head of our convention center came to me one day and said, I think that if we were to take this water fountain and turn it into a place where people could eat and drink, it would really help enliven the Riverwalk.
And they weren't wrong.
And they weren't wrong. In fact, it's become a real moneymaker. And so that actually is a moneymaker to the city because it's so popular. So that's the other thing we did, because we realized it had to be enlivened. And then I think one of the most significant parts of the Riverwalk that we built was the Curtis Hickson Waterfront Park.
Yes.
So we redid the Curtis Hickson Waterfront Park. It became a totally new destination place. Tore down the Tampa Museum of Art, tore down the parking garage underneath it, lowered the park, because the whole idea is that you wanted people to be able to see across, you want people to see the river. And before, the river was blocked. You couldn't really see it because there was a parking garage that elevated the park, and then you had a museum on top of it. And so seeing the river was often very difficult. So that was our major project. We built the Children's Museum, the new Tampa Museum of Art, reconfigured and brought in a great urban designer to redo Curtis Hickson Waterfront Park, built the Riverwalk along that whole segment there. And that, I think, has probably done more to transform the way people celebrate stuff during, in Tampa, just because we now have this great venue. So when I left office in March of 2011, there was one piece of the Riverwalk that was undone. And that was the segment that would have connected the Curtis Hickson Waterfront Park with the, I think it was I want to say the McDill Park. It might have been the McDill Park. Yeah, the McDill Park. And go underneath Kennedy. Go underneath Kennedy and McDill Park. So we made sure that when I left office that any unfinished segment was designed and permitted. Because permitting for all this was quite the thing. I mean, we have a full-time staff person who was just our Riverwalk coordinator, Lee Hoffman. Fantastic job. But everything had to be permitted with the Army Corps of Engineers. And you can imagine it's not an easy thing. So what I wanted to make sure was when I left office that last segment could easily be fulfilled if someone would just give us the money. But I wanted it designed and I wanted it permitted so it was shovel ready. And fortunately, when Mayor Buckhorn took office, he too shared the enthusiasm for the Riverwalk. The Obama administration had funds, and those funds went to a shovel-ready project, which was that segment of the Riverwalk. And so that last portion got completed, and so now you can go from Curtis Hickson Waterfront Park and walk all the way to Channelside. And that's what we wanted. Early on in our administration, we called it the string of pearls, because we said, we have these pearls all in Tampa. We have these museums, we have these parks, we have all these great venues, but you can't get to them.